For CBA number 2, we're going to pick up on page 17. Everything before 17 was for CBA number 1. Foundations of representative government will be the topic of this first video. You do have some closed notes on this. You want to go through those. But I'm going to use the foldable that we worked on page 18 to cover foundations of representative government. The first question on your foldable is, why did we need our own government? What is going on in the 13 colonies that we have to have our own government? We're still under the control of England at this time, but remember that England, also known as Great Britain, is way too far away. So distance definitely plays a factor in us attaining our own government. On top of that, salutary neglect. Mother England doesn't really have the best interest of the colonies at heart. She isn't really worried about what is going on in the colonies. So for this reason, we also have to start our own government. So our own government is going to be started by a couple of influences. Remember, we had English influences. What does English influences mean? That we get a lot of our ideas from England. Colonial influences, we got a lot of ideas from people in the 13 colonies. Let's go ahead and open up the foldable. The first thing you see here is going to be the Magna Carta. And remember that the M in Magna Carta stands for monarchy. And what is a monarchy? It is when a king or a queen rules. What is going on in 1215? In England, 1215, the king is taking advantage of his power. He is abusing his power. So what do the people make him do? They make him sign a document called the Magna Carta that is, one, going to limit his power. So he's going to not have that much power. And two, it's also going to start granting certain rights to Englishmen. Not to everybody, only Englishmen. And these are usually people that were kind of rich and own property. One of those is going to be trial by jury. What is trial by jury? When 12 people hear your case to find out whether you are guilty or innocent. And this is something that we are going to adopt in the United States. So this is why the Magna Carta is a English influence, because we eventually are going to adopt it into our own constitution. The second thing on our list is going to be another English document. This is going to be the English Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights is also known as individual rights. What is individual rights? Rights that me and you have today, such as freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to bear arms. Those are all rights that we have today. But where do we get the ideas from? From the English Bill of Rights in 1639. So notice, we got a Bill of Rights pictures, what we have today. They were Bill of Rights in England, grants individual rights to Englishmen, such as freedom of speech. And this is an influence because this is where we got the idea for our own Bill of Rights and our own Constitution today. The next three are going to be colonial influences. What's a colonial influence? We got the idea from the colony. So Mayflower Compact, we've discussed this before. It was a document, 41 men signed it on the Mayflower. It's known as a social compact, signed by the Pilgrims, and it's the first form of self-government. Remember that they agreed that they were going to follow certain rules and laws once they got off the boat in Massachusetts, in Plymouth, Massachusetts. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, the F in fundamentals is going to stand for first. The C is going to stand for Constitution because it is the first constitution in the colonies. Thomas Hooker left Massachusetts to start the colony of Connecticut. Not only does he start his own colony for freedom of religion, but he also steps it up a notch and writes the first constitution that is not only going to limit the government's power, it's also going to grant voting rights to non-church members. Prior to this, only people that could vote were people that were members of the church. The last one is going to be the Virginia House of Burgesses, also a colonial influence. This is going to take place in 1619 in Virginia. Remember, it's a house. Burgesses means it's a representative. So it was a house in which people came together to elect representatives. And what's a representative? Someone that's going to speak on your behalf. We use the example that it's not smart if all of us go and complain to the government. That's going to be way too chaotic. It's better to elect someone that agrees with our ideals to represent us in government, and they'll go ahead and speak for us. So the Virginia House of Burgesses is known as the first form of representative government. If we were to close this foldable back up, we know that there are a couple of people that also gave us some ideas. We got Mr. John Locke. He's like the super skinny guy that we've been talking about in the pictures. He unlocked our natural rights, also known as unalienable rights, life, liberty, and property. Thomas Jefferson will go on to use these in the Declaration of Independence. Montesquieu, he gave us the idea to separate powers. John Peter Zenger, freedom of press. Parliament is where English laws are made in England. On the colonial side, we got William Penn. He's a Quaker, believes in peace, love, and equality for all. And then, of course, Thomas Hooker writing the FOC, which is the first Constitution, Fundamental Orders of Connecticut.